Shalom and welcome everyone. This Friday is a very special occasion. It's the fast of the 10th day of Tevet. It's a minor fast day. It begins in the morning about 5:20 and it concludes when Shabbos starts or with Kiddush or when the stars come out, whatever is sooner, which is about 5:14 in San Diego. And it's a very unusual fast because usually most fast days, in fact, most fast days do not take place on Friday. I don't think any fast days take place on Friday. Even Yom Kippur, it'll come on Shabbos, but it won't come on a Friday. All the fast days are either postponed till Sunday or till Thursday. We never have a fast day on Friday. This is the only exception. And why is it so important? Because it marks the beginning of the destruction of the first temple by the wicked king Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, who besieged Jerusalem. And the siege began on the 10th of Tevet, and this is why it's marked during this time. The destruction of the first temple was a tremendous calamity, in many respects even greater than the destruction of the second temple. So it's observed pregnant women who are nursing and people like that, people who are not feeling that well, don't have to fast, but most of us should try to fast during that day because of its significance. It concludes, as I said, when we make Kiddush on Friday night or when the stars come out, whichever is the later one. So if you make Kiddush earlier, you can bring in Shabbos earlier, but you still cannot complete the fast until the stars come out. So keep that in mind. And we know that this fast is connected, interestingly, with the Torah portion of Vayigash, where Yosef is reunited by his brothers, especially with his brother from Rachel, Binyamin. Only Binyamin had two sons, Yosef and Binyamin, and when they met, they cried on each other's shoulders or each other's neck. It says Yosef cried on Binyamin's neck and Binyamin cried on Yosef's neck. What is going on? Rashi explains that Yosef cried for the destruction of the first and second temple, which were in the tribal portion of Benjamin, and Binyamin cried for Yosef for the destruction of Mishkan Shiloh, the tabernacle, the sanctuary of Shiloh, which was in Yosef's portion, which that took place before the building of the first and second temples. The question comes up, why did each one of them cry for the other one's misfortune and rather not for their own misfortune? And the answer, the Rabbi brings a very interesting answer, because when it comes to our own misfortune, when it comes to someone else's misfortune, we can cry. We can feel sympathy and great sympathy for their loss and for their tragedy. But when it comes to our own misfortune, it is not a time to cry. It's a time to go up and do something. When it comes to our problems, we can do something about it, and we must do something about it. And in fact, it's interesting that that's exactly what Israel did when they experienced the terrible tragedy of October the 7th. Certainly they cried and they were shocked by it, but immediately, right away, they mobilized and they went to war immediately. And rabbis throughout the world urged people to strengthen their Torah study, their prayer, and their good deeds, and to make this a stronger sense of purpose in response to these terrible tragedies, to do something about it. Soon after the State of Israel was formed, in 1948, I think in the early 1950s, a terrible tragedy took place in the new settlement of Kfar Chabad in Israel. Kfar Chabad was established by the Rabbi it's near Tel Aviv, just outside of Tel Aviv, and it was a young settlement at that time. I believe it was 1954, 1956 that this took place, and it was at the time on the border between Jordan and Israel. And some terrorists came across the border and they went into Kfar Chabad and they murdered 5 students. And it was a terrible tragedy for this young community that has just recently been started, and these young boys were tragically killed. When the Rebbe heard about it, which was immediately after it happened, he immediately decided to do something. Instead of wallow in sadness and crying and miserableness, he sent a delegation of young yeshiva students from America to Israel, to Kfar Chabad, to strengthen the community and to give them hope that things would be better. And he gave them a message, and he gave them the following message: Behemshech habinyan tichamu, with in the continuation of learning, of strengthening yourself, you should be comforted. By continuing to rebuild, you will be comforted. And indeed, that was the message. He said that the true consolation for a tragedy is to build, to rebuild, to be stronger, to do something, to go ahead forward. And indeed, that's something that we all need to take a lesson from, to make sure that we do not cry on our own sadness, but rather we go ahead and we make things greater. And may it be God's will that as a result of the terrible tragedy that Israel has experienced in October the 7th, may the Jewish people and Israel be stronger as a result of it, and may we continue to live in safety, and may God grant the people of Israel and the state of Israel good fortune and strength in the coming years. As they say, Chazak, Chazak, v'nischazek, may you be stronger and continue to be even more stronger. Candlelighting on Friday night, this Shabbos in San Diego is at 4:29. 4:29. Everyone have a good Shabbos.